So we've got new information tonight on what potential articles of impeachment could look like once House Democrats get around to drafting them. Here's the speculation. Bribery, actually spelled out in Article 2, Section 4 of the Constitution. Abuse of power, potentially dealing with intimidation of witnesses via tweet, apparently. Contempt of Congress, the failure to provide documents and witnesses to cooperate with investigations, and obstruction of justice. So let's talk about the potential charges, the next steps now with Democratic strategist Kevin Walling and Trump 2020 senior advisor Jenna Ellis. Good to have you with us tonight.
Thank you. Hey, Shannon, good to be with you.
Okay, so let's look at a little bit of what we have here. This is what Congressman Eric Swalwell, Democrat, said last night when I asked him. Of course, he's part of the House Intelligence Committee, so he's been asking questions. Here's what he said last night when I asked him about the presumption part of this, when no one is saying that, yesterday Ambassador Sondland did not say that anybody told him there was quid pro quo. In fact, the president told him there wasn't, but he had a presumption. Here was Congressman Swalwell's response.
If it's a reasonable presumption, yes. And to back up, it was a reasonable presumption because everything Ambassador Sondland knew about the president in Ukraine was that the president was conditioning a White House meeting on the basis of the Ukrainians investigating the Bidens.
So, Jenna, the articles are coming.
Yeah. Oh, so if it's a reasonable presumption, then it's fine to circumvent the Constitution. I mean, let's not pretend here that this is anything of a constitutional basis, it's anything of a legal basis, or actually talk about this like this is a legal case, that there's something here on the merits. We all know this is just an impeachment circus. Like Congressman Jordan said very clearly after the last hearing today, the facts are on the president's side. There's no quid pro quo. There's absolutely nothing that is constitutional. And the Democrats can try to move forward simply on their focus groups and their polls, but that doesn't mean that this is not just a partisan process. And what the American people really need to recognize here is that that's all that this is. And so they don't have anything that they can actually proceed on, and that is not constitutional, because Article 1 does give jurisdiction to the House for sole power of impeachment, but that still has to work in tandem and not in conflict with Article 2, Section 4. And you actually have to have substance. You have to have evidence. You have to have some legal basis in order to throw out these terms and throw out these articles. It can't just be a presumption. It can't be hearsay. It can't just be wild speculation. When you have the two people that were on the call, President Trump and President Zelensky, saying, no, there was nothing. There was nothing here. It should be case closed.
Well, Democrats say they have the substance, but here's what Professor Jonathan Turley, a well-respected law professor, has to say about this. He says, crimes may be revealed in upcoming testimony, but they need to be grounded in the criminal code rather than in the imagination of members of Congress. Even if the House has broad license in impeachment, it does not have license to redefine crimes to fit impeachments. Kevin?
Amen. I'll just say amen to that.
Well, here's what we know. It was a busy week, right? Gordon Sondland is back in Brussels, but he did confirm a quid pro quo, right? Did he specifically say the president gave him an order to do so? He did not. But did he say he was acting on the presumption of the president asking Rudy Giuliani to put pressure on him and the Ukrainians to do this? He did. So we have a lot more questions than answers, I think, in this whole process. If the president wants to come clear, let's release all of the transcripts. Let's release the call logs. Let's have Rudy Giuliani come before the House Intelligence Committee, the House Judiciary Committee. Come clean, right? If the president thinks he's done nothing wrong, then produce these people, right? We remember the Benghazi hearing. President Obama didn't say Hillary Clinton don't go testify before Congress. Go testify for 12 hours before the House Oversight Committee. If the president has done nothing wrong, he should have nothing to fear from an open, transparent process.
And you know what we call that is burden shifting, because the president has nothing to defend. This is entirely up to the Democrats to prove their case, not for the president to have to defend himself against wild accusations.
Okay, Paul Krugman, an opinion piece in the New York Times, says this. Trump and his corrupt old party, for Republicans, there is no bottom. He says in a different era when both parties believed in the Constitution, Trump's abuse of his position for personal gain would have led to his removal from office long ago. Jenna.
Yeah, well, if we actually still believed in the Constitution, then we wouldn't be making this a political circus, and there wouldn't be focus groups and opinion polls. And so what we would see is that we'd go back actually to the Constitutional Convention when James Madison specifically argued against maladministration or simply disagreeing with policy of a sitting president. And what we've seen over the course since the 2016 election, the Democrats have led this hashtag resistance. They have been trying at every turn to undermine this president. So whether it was this sham impeachment, it was the sham of the Russia collusion it was the sham of the Mueller report, they would find something that they want to find as a legitimate basis. They simply don't have it.
Kevin, danger that there are no Republican votes and that there may be Democrats that cross over to vote no on these articles?
Absolutely, and Speaker Pelosi has said that's one of the things that she would like to see as part of this process is that it be bipartisan, right? Right now we see about 51, 52% of Americans in polls, and polls have always been part of this process going back to Richard Nixon, and we can go back to the polls of impeachment during Watergate, impeachment during Bill Clinton. So impeachment is inherently a political process. I would like to see if the arguments are there for Republicans to come our way on this issue. If they're persuaded to join us, then that be the case. Because I think, as Speaker Pelosi said, that is an important component. We can't just have an entire party indict a president.
Right, and for now, that's what it looks like the vote may be. But we'll see. We'll see what the articles are coming together.
Representative Hurd was the one that could have been persuaded. He had nothing to lose.
But
came out very strongly.
Put him down as a no for right now.
Absolutely.
We'll put him down
right.
as a maybe.
You guys are both yeses in my book. Okay, good to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks.